When Australian companies look to expand in Southeast Asia, Vietnam is increasingly top of the list.
Yes, and it clearly shows in the result of a recent survey where Vietnam is regarded as one of the most prospective countries in ASEAN conducive to trade expansion and investment by Australian businesses. And it is the human resources and expanded trade agreements, two key factors attracting foreign investors to Vietnam.
In 2019, the National Australia Bank, or NAB, one of Australia's largest financial institutions, chose Vietnam to set up its first innovation center outside Australia. So far, the NAB Innovation Center Vietnam remains its only global capability center in ASEAN. From a humble number of 10 staff at the outset, the center has grown quickly with over 2,000 employees.
You can name the demographics, the potential of the young workforce, and also highly tech-savvy workforce, but also the culture of the place. We believe that Vietnamese people are very eager to learn and also very resilient. So we want to put our center here to invest for the future.
Besides innovation, agriculture has also received attention from Australian investors. Marvin Group has invested in building a European standard food processing plant in Ninh Bình province with an annual capacity of 10,000 tons of finished products. It is one of the most advanced food processing projects in Vietnam.
Our plant operates with fully synchronized production lines, imported entirely from Germany. They help reduce manual labor and minimize human contact to guarantee hygiene and quality.
From Auscham's perspective, there's a strong match between Australian strengths and Vietnam's development needs, so the gap's being met. The key agreements, AANZFTA, RCEP and CPTPP provide certainty and predictability for long-term investment. They reduce tariffs and improve market access.
According to the Australian Chamber of Commerce, Vietnam attracts strong interest from Australian businesses, both those already operating in the country, 44%, and those yet to enter the market, 66%.
Now, after establishing comprehensive strategic partnership, Australia and Vietnam have deepened cooperation across various fields, with economic growth deemed a key priority. Our reporter sat down with Australian Trade and Investment Commissioner Hanoi, Chris Morley, for more insight.
Thank you very much for joining us.
A recent survey showed that Australian businesses see Vietnam as an attractive market for expansion. So in your opinion, what are the key drivers behind the interest in Vietnam?
One of the main drivers behind Australian business interest in Vietnam is the growing middle class of Vietnam population. We know that number is going to triple to 45 million by 2030 because of all the investment that the Vietnam government are leading on that's creating a lot of new jobs and a lot of increased disposable income.
What are and will be the key sectors in Australia and Vietnam economic partnerships?
There's no doubt that both our countries are agricultural powerhouses, and we're seeing economic growth that occurs from our Australian ag sector into Vietnam, really capitalising on the increased consumerism and premiumisation. The next sector I see growth is education, backbone of our relationship. We're going to see more lecturer transfer. We're going to see more partnerships, more science-focused partnerships and development of courses, content, closer aligned to what Vietnam needs, developed by Australian world-leading education. Last sector is really the green economy. And that's looking at our energy transition. Both our governments have net zero commitments that we're trying to meet. And then how do we work together around that commitment as well? What technology do both our countries have? We look at a lot of the investment in Vietnam.
Australia and Vietnam aim to raise the bilateral trade turnover to $20 billion US. So what measures should both sides prioritize in order to realize it?
I think there's 4 things that the governments can be doing, and it's about raising awareness, removing blockages, building capacity, and deepening that investment, financial investment really. And when I talk about raising awareness, it's about educating Australian and Vietnam businesses as to the opportunities that exist in each of our countries. Removing blockages is sort of that next step. Once we're getting that interest, how do we remove some of the non-tariff barriers that exist in both our countries' operations and administrations? So there are ways at which we can work together as a government to remove some of these blockages. I think building capability is other step. We can learn from each other and look at each other's workforces and education systems to try and develop a more labour-orientated workforce that has a higher skills potential. And then really it's about deepening that investment. So I spoke before about the deals team and looking at the financial investment that can occur. And the more Australian businesses invest into Vietnam, the more they want to continue and reinvest and take advantage of that growth as well. So by helping to make it easier and more attractive to put investment into Vietnam, I know that it will continue to allow our businesses and our economies to reach that over $20 billion two-way trade that we really, both our countries want.
Thank you very much for joining us.